Winnebago screwed up at the factory, and now Jim and Janet are paying for the manufacturer's mistake.
Buy it back and just end this misery for us.
Welcome to the channel. I'm Liz. I have been RVing since the 80s, and I make videos helping people who've had problems with their new RVs. These videos have caused the RV industry to spring into action, including flying techs in to make repairs, transporting the rig back to the factory, and even buying back defective RVs. In today's video, Jim and Janet share their heartbreaking story with their brand new Winnebago motorhome. And I'll have Winnebago's plus the dealer's response later in the video.
This all started back in the beginning of 2023. We wanted to buy a new RV. We had owned one Class A motorhome previously that we enjoyed for many years, but we really wanted a diesel this time. So we looked around. We finally found exactly what we wanted, and that was a Winnebago Forza 38F. It was a 2022, but it was brand new at a local dealership, Carolina Adventure RV in Myrtle Beach. We paid about $232,000 for it. We had many reasons why we wanted it, but the two main ones were that our son was graduating from Purdue University the following May. I can't fly or stay in hotels due to a back injury I developed from working. So the only way we can really get there is via a motorhome. The other reason was I wanted to get back into working again. My work requires me to travel and be on site at clients, and I figured we could use it for that as well. Those were the main reasons, besides the fact we just enjoy RVing. So we picked it up April 26th. That we booked our first trip for about 2 weeks later, which was Mother's Day weekend.
It's just important to note that before we purchased this RV, we actually called a couple of people to inspect it independently. And unfortunately, they refused because they had relationships with the dealership because they were an authorized person to be able to fix these things.
We went out on our first weekend trip. It was only a one-day drive. We noticed water dripping from the ceiling of the front cab area. We thought it was a little odd. Maybe it was just the air conditioning, condensation or something like that, because it hadn't rained. There was also water underneath the front driver dash. Some of the basement storage had leaks. The slide outs were malfunctioning intermittently. On that trip, we called up to schedule service, and their first available was July 11th. So we went on another trip at the end of June for another weekend. We had more water, and it was making us feel a little bit more uneasy. But we know the dealership service is amazing. Their service department is top-notch. So we brought it in. They worked on the issue. About 5 weeks later, we picked up the unit. We planned another trip. We had joined our local Winnebago club. And our first trip out was to meet the Winnebago club, and then we would move on from there. While on that trip, there were more leaks, more water. Over the driver compartment, papers were getting wet. Water dripping out of the half-bath skylight. We smelled mold. There were stink bugs, which we know were attracted to water. We noticed one of the cabinets was water damaged. And then 3 weeks into the trip, the washing machine stopped working. Called up service. Their first available was the end of January. We trust Winnebago. We know they're good. They're reputable. And we know the service department is fantastic. We got it up to service. We also, during January, booked all of our reservations for our son's graduation in May. Then in mid-February, I started interviewing for a position in Texas. It was contingent on me being able to actually be on site, which, again, the only way we can really do that is with the motorhome. I agreed to that for later in the year, around August. A week later, a technician from the dealership called up and said, hey, we have a major problem. And it turned out that there was a gap between the front roof air conditioner and the roof from the time it was manufactured in August of 2021, which means that when we purchased this unit brand new from the dealership, there was already close to 18 months of water intrusion into the roof and sidewalls. Obviously, it was too big a job for them to do. Carolina RV called up Winnebago around February 27th to have a Winnebago technician come in and take a look at the RV. A Winnebago technician came in a few weeks later on March 16th and inspected the RV and made the determination that the roof and all of the exterior sidewalls needed to be replaced, and they needed to bring it back to Forest City, Iowa, to perform that work. They picked up the RV on April 9th. They originally gave us an estimate of 25 days. About 2 weeks later, I was able to meet with the owner of the dealership. I brought up all the issues with my son's graduation and my job. He offered us a Class B used 2-year-old Class B motorhome as a loaner, as an adequate replacement for our nearly 40-foot diesel motorhome. I told him that would not be acceptable. It wouldn't work because I'm working. I have 2 relatively large monitors, 3 laptops, 2 dogs, would not fit in a Class B RV. He wouldn't budge, even though they have numerous Class A motorhomes on the lot. So I took a different tact. Give us our money back. You get the RV back, undo the transaction, and we'll happily buy another Winnebago from you. A brand new one, no problem. We've had a long-term relationship with this, with one of the sales reps who's very nice at this dealership. He wouldn't do it. The best thing he would do, their offer was to buy back our RV at current value and sell us a new one at standard discount they would give any other customer if we came up with another $65,000 down payment. He didn't want to lay out one dime. I tried 2 different ways to get something workable for us for our son's graduation. Totally failed. Winnebago already said they weren't going to get involved at all. They said that's between you and the dealer. So we were pretty much dead in the water. So there's the RV up in Forest City, Iowa. End of May, came and went. That, needless to say, took our son's graduation off the table for that RV. Our son wouldn't even walk across the stage at his graduation because there was no one there. We trusted this dealership. We trusted Winnebago. We got nothing. We got silence, dismissiveness. We had numerous other issues. There were recalls that had to be done. The washing machine, obviously, we said was already dead. The batteries were dead. The front passenger seat table was broken. They pushed it to the end of June. They found more problems. End of June, came and went. Mid-July, that was the next promised date. Came and went. They found something else. The full wall slide floor was warped. They had to replace it. Finally, July 24th, the RV got back to the dealership. Within 15 minutes, I found at least 16 items wrong. The driver, I'm guessing, banged into something, and the front right corner of the RV was detached. The cabinets that were water damaged were not replaced. Leaks in the basement storage that Carolina RV had previously fixed were back again. So we had new problems that they didn't fix initially, and problems that came back that were fixed. After that came the email strings. We have close to 60 emails with Winnebago starting on July 25th that lasted until August 2nd, which was the last correspondence we had from them. First response: Hi, Janet. My apologies for any shortcomings. Based on the initial look through the pictures, it seems like the majority of these concerns are cosmetic in nature. This was the beginning of the dismissiveness. Would it be possible to have Carolina RV do a few small things quickly? And it almost made it sound like we were the gating factor, then address other items after we relocate and are living in it full time. Well, based on the track record, where are we supposed to go when they're working on the repairs if we're living in the RV? And one of the worst things that was telling was that the theater seats that had previously been 2 to 3 inches away from the window egress where the emergency exit is were pushed up against the window egress and blocking the handles for the emergency exit. Now, the only way that would happen is if the floor that they replaced on the sidewall was narrower than the original slide-out floor, because the theater seat is bracketed to the front. So I could barely move the handles on the window egress, so that's an emergency. That's actually a fire code issue. We believed in the Winnebago name when we bought it. You wanted to take it back to factory service to have it done right and have the Winnebago reputation restored, and we agreed. They failed. In our estimation, they failed and failed miserably. Their response: again, my apologies for the shortcomings. To me, that's lip service where I come from. This is their core business. This is what they've been doing for 66 years. This is just more being dismissive, making it seem like the customer is expecting too much. When I mentioned the theater seat and that it was probably due to an out-of-spec floor that they put in the slide out. This is not only a fire code issue, but I felt that Winnebago factory service damaged the unit beyond repair, and that I was expecting, if not demanding, them to buy it back and just end this misery for us. They said it's going to the body shop to repair the scratches on the front corner. Again, let's make it smaller, diminutive, dismissive. It wasn't scratches. The front panel was flapping. We'll move the theater seat away from the window, even though the technician has verified the latches work. Yes, we know the latches work. We couldn't get to the latches. He did not address at all the fact that the floor might be out of spec. So let's just glaze over that one. Your unit has been and is usable. I'm sorry, but this unit didn't have a roof and sidewalls for a little while. Finally, all items are cosmetic in scope, again. And again suggested, why don't you just take it to Houston and have it fixed there? Because it has always been usable, Winnebago will not be repurchasing or replacing this unit. That was the final correspondence from them. We have now moved our reservations to Texas with 4 campsites 4 different times. I base my reputation in my job on my integrity, my professionalism, my ability to keep and keep promises. And I can't do that right now because of what's been happening with this motorhome, and I feel terrible. I'm losing sleep. I'm stressed.
We've been together for 40 years, and I have never seen him this upset because of what this means. This was our dream, to be able to not only get to our son's graduation, which that didn't happen because of somebody else's negligence, but the worst part is seeing him this upset because he's worked really hard in his industry. And that's kind of at stake. Your reputation, as you know, is everything.
At this point, if this motorhome isn't ready, we're going to have to push this off until next year to be able to move. If your car was out of commission for 9 months, heck, you get a loaner car for most auto dealers now, even if it's only a day or two. You get the nice courtesy cars. We have gotten nothing.
If we could do this whole transaction again, I would probably fly somebody out from another state to go ahead and inspect our RV. And the other thing I would do is pick up a $50 water sensor that we now have to test the RV ourselves for any water damage. The RV is still up at Carolina RV, and we are still waiting. As of 2 days ago, when Jim went up, there are even more problems, unfortunately, that are new problems.
Winnebago said we'd be able to resolve these issues quickly on July 25th. As of 2 days ago, they still haven't shipped all the parts. The dealership is still waiting for parts from Winnebago. That's 7 weeks. This has been going on so long, all of our warranties are expired, and we haven't had use of the RV. You know, if the refrigerator goes, any appliances go now, we haven't even used them, and they're expired.
We really thought that Winnebago was a family name. We had all these thoughts that they were a wonderful company to deal with. And that's not really the case now.
You may know that Winnebago owns Grand Design. Well, right after I contacted Winnebago about Jim and Janet, a story broke about Grand Design. It was all about the frame failure and the people who have really been struggling with that. Well, you know about that probably. I've done a few videos about frame failure on my channel. Well, this of course was not a flattering article, neither was the accompanying video, so I bet Winnebago has been busy scrambling trying to deal with that. 2 days later, I got an email from Chris West. He is the president of Winnebago. He thanks me for writing. We appreciate your ongoing advocacy for RV owners. Winnebago does not discuss the specifics of individual warranty cases outside of the direct customer relationship. I can share that for all Winnebago customers, including Jim and Janet, our goal is to put people first and strive for an excellent ownership experience. Well, it's now been 4 days. Jim and Janet still have not heard from Winnebago. I really did not want to put this video out without getting a direct response from them to Jim and Janet as to how they're going to resolve this situation. So I'm going to have to do an update. Stay tuned for that. I also have not heard from the dealer. What do you think Winnebago should do for Jim and Janet? Let me know in the comments. And as always, please like, subscribe, and share this video. This helps grow this channel and grow it to be the force that it is. Also want to remind you to sign up for my newsletter. Thanks for watching and stay tuned.